Let me just preface this video by saying do not Google the game unless it is to buy a copy of it. Do not go searching for information of it. This video contains no spoilers of the overarching plot, and the best way to play this game is to go in with little to no knowledge of the game's events. With that said, please sit back and enjoy the video. Seiya broke my heart, and this is a good thing. Seiya no Uta is easily one of the most emotionally draining video games I have ever played, and it is easily one of the greatest and equally saddest love stories that I have ever had the joy of reading. Seiya no Uta, otherwise known as Song of Seiya, is a 2003 Japanese visual novel that got a release over here in North America in 2013. The game was written by Gen Urabuki, the man responsible for Madoka Magica, so if that isn't already alarming you to things not being as they seem in this tale of love and cosmic horror, I don't know what will. The story is simple. Well, at first, that is. You follow the journey of a young man by the name of Fuminori Sakisaka, a man who has been inflicted with a mental condition that renders the world around him as a hellish nightmare of gore and viscera ever since the car crash that claimed his parents' lives and Fuminori's mental state. Fuminori is able to live, but at the cost of the world around him not being what it once was. He suffers day in and day out, everything a disgusting farce of what it once was. His friends take on the appearance of nightmarish beings too horrid for the human mind to handle. Everything else is the same way, disgusting and unbearable. Except one thing. One shining light in Fuminori's life of darkness. That small glimmer of light is a young girl by the name of Seiya, who lives and helps take care of Fuminori. The story doesn't just follow Fuminori, as it follows the lives affected by him, such as his aforementioned friends, and a mysterious nurse who isn't all she seems to be to the young man. It even follows other people who are dragged into Fuminori's horrifically sad tale. The story is downright brilliant in how it's told. There wasn't a single moment that anything felt out of place, and the beats of the story hit my heart like a war drum that was quickly charging to shatter it. At no point in the game's narrative did I feel anything was out of place. It is a dark, mature story that should really be only experienced by those who are going to feel up to it. I'm not one to be affected by contents in a video game, but Seiya no Uta entangles you into its horrific world of gore and loneliness. After the game wrapped up, I was left winded with tears in my eyes. I just wanted everything to be alright in the end, and let me tell you, everything is not going to be okay. The characters in this game are refreshingly human, regardless of how their appearance is to our main protagonist. They make mistakes, have ambitions, lives, dreams, hopes, and you will reel in pain if anything happens to them. You get invested in their stories and existence just as much as you do Fuminori's, as they play just as big a part of the story as he does. Now, you may notice I'm not talking about Fuminori or the titular Seiya all that much. That's because they are hard to talk about without giving away too much of the story. What I can say is that the emotions and time they spend together are some of the most touching, heart-wrenching, twisted, and loving moments I have ever seen in any game, period. The two of them are brilliantly different from any other game's protagonists that I have ever experienced, and they truly earn a special spot for being amazing characters. The story, just like our characters, goes through a winding sequence of violent and disgusting twists and turns where nothing is left untouched. Taboos will be broken, nerves torn, with the sanctity of all that is good in this world ripped right from your head and crushed into a graphic pulp before your eyes. It starts off as a simple case of medical horror where not even the comfort of Fuminori's friends help calm him in his torturous existence. Trust me, the gore and nudity in Seiya no Uta is there for more than just shock value. It all has a purpose, and none of it feels forced or out of place. I will say that if you do not like gore or sex of any kind, this game is not for you, and it earns its adult-only rating masterfully without the use of forcing it. The writing is some of the best in any medium I have ever had the harrowing pleasure of reading. Every description in each scene kept me on my toes to what was happening, and when I wasn't given a visual aid, the words painted the scene better than any piece of art could. The visuals to the game were gorgeous, unforgettable, and sometimes downright stomach-turning. The backgrounds were an interesting mix of visual styles whenever they would change, and I loved how each character looked, especially Seiya's soft and innocently sweet features. When you looked into her eyes, you felt an odd sense of misunderstanding and loneliness in them, but at the same time, an overflowing ocean of never-ending love. The creatures of flesh in Fuminori's head were not seen in full, only giving us, the viewer, small glimpses of these demonic creatures that were once humans, and I really admire their bravery for not outright showing us the creatures' designs, as they're even scarier only seeing a little bit of them. Sometimes we wouldn't even be shown them at all, letting the game's impeccable writing do the painting of them just as well. The The sound to the game, outside the voices, which I'll get to here in a minute, are perfect and get across every detail, graphic and non-graphic alike, spectacularly. From the creaking of stairs to the turning of pages, all the way to the disgusting sounds of organs and other vile matter, it sickens and intrigues the listener. The soundtrack suited every scene it was in, with not a single track from the game's original soundtrack sounding out of place or bad. I can't say a single bad thing about the music, as it was, like the game, hauntingly beautiful. Some of the songs were slow and chilling, while others were a more quicker and action-oriented beat. Some sounded so horrifying they actually made me uneasy to listen to whenever they would start playing. So the voice acting was really good. My only problem was that it was all overshadowed, quite literally, by the game's music. And from what I could tell, there was no way to adjust the audio settings in the game's menus. So sometimes I would have to strain my ears to hear everything that was being said, even though I don't speak Japanese. Every character had a fitting voice, and once again, I have to say, Seiya sold the show with a voice that captured my heart. The creature noises were blood-chilling, and the first time I started up the game, I froze in fear hearing them. I actually had to pause the game for a second, then continue, they were that unsettling. There were plenty of other meaty and crunchy noises that made me squirm, and it was honestly auditory torture in the best possible sense. The game is only 5 hours long, but I felt like I spent an eternity suffering with these characters. I got so immersed in the story that outside a few genuinely upsetting moments where I had to pause the game and go take a step back from the computer, I never once set it down. By the end of it all, I was laying back into my chair, begging for breath to return to me so I could return to the real world. Let me just say, Seiya no Uta is downright amazing, and easily one of my favorite games of all time. Please, if you think you are able to stomach and sit through a well-told, mature story about true love that will surely make you feel as uncomfortable as it did me, then I implore you to go out and get a copy of Seiya no Uta. It is absolutely worth experiencing for yourself and seeing what it means to never truly be alone. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider sharing it with your friends or checking out my Patreon link down in the description below. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments, as Seiya no Uta was a recommendation from my good friend, and it might not have been on the show if it wasn't for him reminding me of it. A big thank you to the show's patron who wishes to remain anonymous. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. This is Thierry Williamson signing off. Until then, see ya guys.